The local Anglican church introduces strict measures to address coronavirus concerns. The Corridon-Parry School launches a Hall of Fame. And in sports, Australia are the Women's T20 World Cup champions.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC Newsnight, starting now.
A very good evening to you. With your news, I'm Lisa Lord. We do apologize for the late start, but in our top story, the Anglican Church in Barbados has introduced strict measures as it tries to prevent the spread of the coronavirus should it reach these shores. And there is support for the move at least one church. There were changes to how the service was conducted at the St. Barnabas Anglican Church this morning. According to Rector Reverend Mark Herwood, the Diocesan Synod of Barbados has issued a directive to the church outlining the way forward amid coronavirus concerns.
Physical interaction during services, including the sign of peace, should be suspended for the time being. A nod, a smile, or bow will suffice. Shaking hands on entry or departure of religious services gathering should be suspended until further notice. That's number one. Number two, everyone administering Holy Communion should wash their hands thoroughly, which we do, with soap and water for at least 20 seconds, or use alcohol-based hand gel before beginning. 3, Holy Communion should be administered in one kind only, under the species of bread, and placed onto the hands of the recipient only, and not onto the tongue. Our teaching is that Jesus Christ is received in the bread, just as in the bread and wine. Only the celebrant should drink from the chalice. Intinction is not to be done at this time.
And the rules extend beyond regular services.
The Church's duty of care extends to the members of the clergy. Kindly advise the faithful if they have influenza-type symptoms, they should not call the clergy for pastoral visitation. Pastoral support for parishioners who are unable to attend church services should be provided by telephone or social media. 6, parishioners who fell ill and display influenza-like symptoms should stay at home.
Several members of the congregation support the move.
It's okay with me, because you can't take any chances these days, so I agree with the changes. You just gotta live with them. It's all right.
So I don't take away from people, being happy to see each other. I think it is just a precautionary measure for now.
I agree with safety. I felt a bit awkward to be at church for the first time, but I understand what they're doing and I'm all for it.
I really don't have any concerns about it, but I think the good thing about it is that you're trying to prevent any spread of the disease altogether, which is a good thing.
It is expected the new rules will be amended as the threat of the coronavirus subsides. Well, the Ministry of Education is also working to develop its response to the coronavirus should people on the island test positive. Education Minister Santia Bradshaw, who was also at the St. Barnabas Church this morning, says officials are working with the Ministries of Health and Tourism to roll out a sensitization program for staff and students.
Quite recently, we would have had a session with the Ministry of Health and the frontline workers, and we believe that just like the persons at the airport are treated as the frontline workers and the ports of entry, similarly, our teachers or administrators interfacing with students themselves also become frontline workers as well. And therefore, it is important that we engage them in discussions as to what are the signs that they must look for, what are the response mechanisms that must be in place in order to address students who they suspect may come to school and may present with these particular types of symptoms as well.
Retired principal and president of the Corridon-Parry Old Scholars Association, Jeff Brooms, believes the time has come for the school to have a sixth form. He made the call last evening at that institution's inaugural Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Rianne Phillips tells us more.
The Corridon-Parry School has inducted 8 outstanding past students into its new Hall of Fame. They are former Governors General Sir Elliot Belgrave and Sir Clifford Husbands, former Barbados Prime Ministers Sir Lloyd Erskine Sandiford and Professor Owen Arthur. UWI Vice-Chancellor Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, former Anglican Bishop of Barbados Dr. Rufus Broom, the late Bishop Sihon Goodrich, the late Keith Boyce, and retired Principal Jeff Brooms have also been honored.
Tonight, in our initial Hall of Fame induction night, that gives us the opportunity to live by our distinctive motto, Palmen qui merit ferat. Let students see what we live by and encourage them to understand that there's no shortcut to success. Please give the Coleridge and Parry School a sixth form. We are the beacon on the hill and deserve the opportunity to speak loudly and cogently for the north of the island.
All scholars will also have a chance to choose future inductees.
This year, we have selected those that we see as the icons, but from next year onward, the alumni will vote for inductees in the agreed categories and consistent with the determined criteria. Alumni all, I'm asking you to join the association so you can have a say.
The Hall of Fame is a joint initiative by the school's Board of Management, the principal, and the Alumni Association. Rianne Phillips, CBC News.
Well, of course, Barbados has joined the rest of the world to mark International Women's Day, and with the focus being on gender equality, a local cleric is telling men the rise of women does not equate to their downfall. Reverend Canon Roxanne Hunt made the comment at the annual prayer breakfast at the Ivan Herwood Center. Borrowing from the theme for today's celebrations, I Am Generation Equality, Realizing Women's Rights, she suggested an equal world is an enabled world.
We were assisted, we supported, we facilitated, we authorized. And who do we think is stopping us from being who we are created to be? We think it's the men that's stopping us, the system that's stopping us, the government that's stopping us. And these people are at home, they're in the workplace, they're in the church.
Well, former president of the National Organization of Women and current president of the Barbados Association of Retired Persons, Marilyn Rice Bowen, wants the advocacy to continue.
Very often our younger women, they have taken the platform that they have found for granted. Very often the younger women are of the belief, why are we still advocating? Everything now is all right. But for trailblazers like I see Dame Billy Miller here and other trailblazers, the pathway wasn't easy. You were ostracized on occasion, you were labeled anti-man. On other occasions, we were just pushed to, as I said, you're ostracized from society. And the pathway was extremely difficult. But yet, our trailblazers still continued the fight.
Meanwhile, there's a suggestion the concerns of women as workers cannot be ignored if gender equality is to be achieved. Pro-Vice-Chancellor and Principal of the University of the West Indies Cave campus, the Most Honorable Udine Barato, shared the view as she delivered remarks at the International Women's Day Distinguished Lecture.
We have to be concerned about the achievements and aspirations of women in all aspects of life, in technology, in the workplace, in the arts, in the home, in health, in places of worship.
Another organization has thrown its support behind calls for policies to address the growing issues of childhood obesity and NCDs. This time, it's the Diabetes Association of Barbados. President Trudy Griffith says the country is facing a serious challenge of obesity among its children and young adults. That's why the association will once again this summer hold two camps, Camp Pride and Camp Wellness, which targets children living with type 1 diabetes and those at risk of contracting the disease.
We want to say we support every worthwhile effort that exists in Barbados to combat childhood obesity, and we would indeed encourage anyone who is involved, all of our stakeholders, to support and implement the policies that will pave the way for healthier Barbados, for healthier children, because they are indeed our future.
And Ms. Griffith was speaking during the launch of the 2 camps, which cater to children between the ages of 6 and 16. They feature activities such as a cook-off, arts and drama, and for the first time this year, basic CPR training. Coordinator of Camp Pride, Sandy Bell, says campers will also be participating in some regathering activities in the parish of St. Philip.
We will attend service on the first Sunday of July, which we do as part of our activities at the start of camp. And then what we're planning to do is to plant some trees during that month as well at some of the institutions in that parish. We are aiming to plant about 18 trees, and this is in commemoration of our 18th year.
The Myeloma, Lymphoma and Leukemia Foundation of Barbados has raised over $31,000 to help people living with those conditions on the island. Treasurer Selena MacDonald told reporters on the sidelines of a sponsor's thank you event the funds were raised from its walk held earlier this year.
The walk was a total success. I mean, we had over 400 people come out to support the event, and we were able to raise $31,341. And I mean, we use the funds to assist persons who are suffering with blood cancers. We offer counseling for those persons, for them and their families. We also provide those persons with medication if need be. If they have procedures to undertake and they can't afford those procedures, we're there to assist. And we also assist them with medical procedures outside of the island.
And the foundation's treasurer says the group will also be seeking to donate some equipment to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. Well, over in Guyana now, the High Court there has ruled it has jurisdiction to hear the case seeking verification of the votes cast in the general and regional elections for Region 4. Acting Chief Justice Roxanne George Wiltshire made the ruling this afternoon, stressing the respondents must be given a chance to be heard. The matter has been adjourned until March the 10th. Last Thursday, Justice Navindra Singh granted an injunction against the Guyana Elections Commission, GECOM, the Chief Election Officer Keith Lowenfield, and the returning officer for Region 4, Claremont Mingo, after the application had been filed. The PPPC had earlier secured an injunction to block GECOM from declaring the results for the elections on the grounds that the votes declared for Region 4 were not completely verified.